What's up, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Game, your one source for everything cool in video games. If you want to be a part of our show, then go to insidethegame.ca, where there you can submit your clip and end off our show. While you're on our site, also hit up that Discord link, join the channel, and hit us up on YouTube and all other social channels as well. Now, coming up on this week's episode, we have a jam-packed show with the guys getting grounded, Corey and I are going golfing, and Scott is reviewing a PlayStation exclusive on PC. Yeah, I said that right. Now let's get started with the Inside Scoop.
Pikmin 3 is in the news again, and that might be happy for some, or it might be salt in the wounds for those of us that owned a Wii U. That's right, the Wii U's reasons to exist are getting shorter and shorter, but the reasons to own a Switch are getting a little bit longer. Pikmin 3 is making its way to the Switch October 30th, 2020, and it will be a full-price title. Pikmin 3 was originally dropped on the Wii U in 2013 and it quickly became a huge smash hit. Well, this version's gonna have all of the downloadable content as well as a co-op mode to play the entire story side by side with a friend. That's right, Olimar and Louie exploring a brand new planet and a whole lot of difficulty options to kinda soothe the pain that comes along with thousands and thousands of Pikmin casualties.
Well, the PlayStation 5 is just around the corner, but what do you do about your PlayStation 4? PlayStation 4 controllers will apparently work with the PlayStation 5, but only on PlayStation 4 games. Certain peripherals will be moving forward on the PlayStation 5 console, like PlayStation VR, but if you're looking to play PlayStation 4 games, look to use your PlayStation 4 controller. But if you want to play PlayStation 5 games, well, Sony says you need to have a PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. A PlayStation representative has come out to explain how a PlayStation 5 compatibility with PlayStation 4 peripherals will work. For most peripherals will work on the upcoming console, but some will be limited to supported PlayStation 4 games. The DualShock 4 and other officially licensed PlayStation controllers can connect to the PlayStation 5, but they will only work with backwards compatible PS4 titles, meaning the DualShock 4 will not work with PlayStation 5 games. Dedicated peripherals like licensed racing wheels, arcade sticks, and fighting sticks will be supported on the PlayStation 5. The Platinum and Gold wireless headset and other third-party headsets with USB or audio jack connectivity will also be compatible with the PlayStation 5. Additionally, the PlayStation Move controller and the PlayStation VR headset will be compatible with PlayStation 5 games as well. Shortly following the announcements from PlayStation about the DualShock controller and what they're going to do moving forward for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox was quick to follow up and announce that the Xbox One controllers will be completely compatible with the Xbox Series X and all its games.
So after weeks of rumors and leaks and, secret info, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Season 5 is finally live. And let me tell you, they've added a ton of new stuff. So you know what? Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. The majority of new features are going live straight away, including a new operator, Lurch, a new multiplayer mode, Search and Destroy Double Down, which just doubles the amount of players in Search and Destroy. That means 12v12. It's going to be absolutely insane. There's going to be 2 new weapons, the ISO submachine gun and an AN-94 assault rifle, and 4 new Modern Warfare multiplayer maps, Sudal Harbor, Petrov Oil Rig, Livestock, and the Verdansk International Airport. The new Battle Pass also has a lot more minor extras, including new customization options, blueprints, and XP boosts, although you still have to pay that 1,000 COD points if you want it, but it's a small price to pay because honestly, out of all the Battle Passes that are out there right now, the Call of Duty one definitely is one of the best. We're not done with Warzone either. We're getting a few new things, and on top of just all those regular season updates that I've already explained, We're getting a few changes to the map and some good ones. We're getting zip lines added to some of the larger buildings, which is going to make mobility, I think, just absolutely off the charts in this now. If you're going to be able to fly up or fly across from building to building, I think that's going to be a really key tactic to be able to take advantage of in this. And the stadium is now open for everybody to go in and explore. We've spent, the first 4 seasons of this game running around this thing, never being able to get inside. Now it's officially open, and you're actually going to get to cruise around in there. And let me tell you, it's crazy. I've been in there a couple times already, and it's an absolute war zone in and itself outside of the rest of the map. But that's not all. We're being teased that there's going to be some sort of secret mid-season event. And honestly, I think that can only be the announcement of the new Call of Duty game. And if it does fall in the exact middle of this season, it's going to be in the, beginning of September, late this month. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see, because Treyarch and Raven Studios, or Raven Software, sorry, has, created this game, and they've made some good ones in the past, and it's kind of been leaked that we might be looking at a Black Ops subtitled, possibly Cold War. So I'm really excited to see if that's what we're going to be getting for this mid-season event, because honestly, I don't know what else it could be. So let's just, fingers crossed we're going to get some new details on this new game.
So Ubisoft, they've been keeping kind of quiet in regards to For Honor lately, but finally the latest trailer has dropped, revealing the newest hero to be added to the roster, the Warmonger. She is menacing, and we've known her for a very long time. If you've played For Honor, the storyline, it's been there since the beginning. She was the end game boss, and now you actually get to play as her. Now, obviously they've done some tweaking because she was very overpowered in the campaign, but that'll to say, she's tweaked and she looks completely awesome. I can't wait to check her out. Make sure you hop on For Honor soon.
Microsoft's Xbox gaming streaming platform, known as Project xCloud, is set to get bigger and more accessible in the near future. This comes with Samsung in the news, as their Galaxy Note 20 is set with some pre-order bonuses that if you pre-order that phone, you get Game Pass Ultimate and a couple other perks. In the States, you can even pre-order it and get a Bluetooth controller. Now this definitely highlights that xCloud is coming to this device and a whole lot more Androids on September 15th of this year. Now, we're going to have to wait until then to check out more actual details, but we've kind of had our hand in the beta for xCloud, and I have to say that it's pretty exciting news.
PUBG may have started the Battle Royale scene, but has quickly fallen behind with Fortnite. Fortnite has recently hit us with one event after another, where PUBG just leaves us wanting more. Well, it's nice to see that PUBG is actually starting to step it up and bring us Ancient Secret. The new update with fresh content is now available on PUBG Mobile for Android and iOS users. The Ancient Secret game mode, once selected, players will see an Ancient Secret building rising on Miramar and Erangel. It's a 2-story structure that begins each game at ground level. As the game progresses, the building also begins to float and follows the play circle. Honestly, after jumping into this game mode, it seems like they've just taken from what Fortnite has always created with their giant massive events and just imported it over to PUBG. The minute I watched this thing and played, it instantly felt like Fortnite. To me, PUBG is more strategic, more ground level, and on the boots, may I say, on the ground running, and it's just not Fortnite. But it seems like they're taking that approach and moving forward with PUBG Mobile and bringing this latest event.
Alright, so a lot of talk has been going around about Halo Infinite, and we have some more rumors to speculate on, and these rumors are starting to sound more and more accurate as time goes on. And that is that Halo multiplayer is going to be absolutely free to play. That's right, Halo Infinite's multiplayer is going to be free to play. So what does this mean, free to play? Well, to expand upon this even further, Halo Infinite multiplayer is supposedly going to have a 10-year life cycle. Now again, these are all rumors and nothing is 100% true, but if this is true and accurate, wow, like what does this mean? 10 years? This is crazy. And if Halo Infinite stays true to what they said over a year ago now, and that there is no loot boxes, but a laid out microtransaction system, and similar much to what Call of Duty Warzone does, and a battle pass, then this could be really good. 10 years of free Halo and, periodically spending money on some skins whenever you want. Wow, that could be great. Now, I do hope that maybe there will be some graphical increases over the time, because Halo Infinite didn't look too amazing. Now, I wasn't disappointed by the gameplay release at all. I absolutely was blown away. I loved it. But that all to say, what about Halo Infinite's multiplayer coming free? What do you guys think of that? This is pretty wild.
Nate, we're back in the 90s and we're grounded.
Alright, Scott, so we got hands-on with Grounded, and this game, this kind of reminds me of this Honey I Shrunk the Kids kind of theme style game with Ark, actually, believe it or not, mixed in with some Minecraft. So let's kind of dive into what I mean by that, because this is kind of this survival, open world builder experience. What did you think of this?
Yeah, so this one has a very interesting perspective. Obviously, you are shrunk and left to explore the backyard and all of its dangers. You're just a group of kids, and it's got this really light narrative, but there's actually a lot of really scary experiences built into this survival game. There's a reason to build up your equipment or build a base to kind of shelter from, and that's because things kind of go bump in the night. There's a lot of these really cool but creepy bug experiences, and that's definitely what I'm left with.
Yeah, man, so I definitely, one of the first things you want to do is learn how to build a base. So one kind of cool thing that they have in this game is pretty much right off the hop you find this building, and from there they give you the ability to learn 3 different things. So with the materials that you actually pick up, you can then break them down or learn more information about them and what you can craft with them. So after you do your first 3, there's kind of this timer on it, and then you can go back, let's say 20 minutes later, and then use it on another 3 materials to kind of learn how to build a bow, let's say. So it's kind of cool. So let's say fiber, for instance, is a very basic raw material. You can expand it or refine it into woven fiber, and then from there you can research that material and learn how to build more materials from that.
So it has this interesting progression ability. You're actually learning more and more about the environment around you and how each different artifact kind of fits into a build for something. It's an interesting way to handle the recipes, but I think it's good because it rewards you for exploring and finding new items instead of just kind of building it to fill up an experience bar. It doesn't really work like that, so it's a lot more effective this way. And I think that matches this game because you can go on these big long treks through the backyard. It's shockingly big for a backyard when you're that tiny, and there's a lot of these different tents with that scanning object in them, so you're able to kind of branch out, maybe establish different bases and more, as you populate the world and kind of conquer it. It's really cool. There's a lot of different building objects that you interact with in kind of different ways. It's all standard to like a survival game. You build the axe so you can cut down the things, but it's not trees. It's just grass blades. So everything is really to scale. You're cutting down the stems of dandelions or chopping up thistle to make arrows. You know, it has that flavor that makes sense in the setting, but it's just this really cool kind of interesting world that they're building, and it gets you involved in that scale.
Yeah, man, I loved how, you know, one of the first things you kind of cut down are clovers, and it's just a little taller than you. When you really think about it, it's like clovers are so small, right? And, you know, it's kind of cool. There's all sorts of bugs and creatures, you know, lurking about during the day, and the nice thing is the ants are out there, and they're not out there to fight you. They just kind of, unless you're kind of meddle with their, you know, anthill, which I wouldn't recommend you do, but, you know, they're just kind of there.
Yeah, there's a lot of different bugs just kind of going about their business. You find a lot of ladybugs and other kind of beetles of the sort that don't really attack you unless you get into their business. But there's also a lot of these kind of really jump scare situations with spiders. And it's
the spiders.
I have
my
to
goodness.
testify. It's pretty terrifying. There's a warning well placed at the beginning of the game, and it warns you that if you're arachnophobic, you are going to experience, you know, situations with larger than life spiders. And I didn't think that would really affect me, but when they shriek at you and just lunge after you the way they do, it definitely brings a horror element to it. Like,
dude,
what a rush.
Man, it honestly, like, kind of reminded me of Jurassic Park, because, you know, when you'd look up in the tall grass, you'd see it kind of ruffling about, and then you'd see, like, what's coming towards me? It'd be this big spider trembling towards you. So, you know, a couple of things I recommend is don't try to take on a spider or a couple of those dangerous beetles.
Yeah.
The bombardier one in particular, they are very aggressive, and they take a while to kind of learn how to take down and meddle with. But let's kind of branch into the bit of the story, because this game is very much in early access. And if you want to complete, let's say, the main story, dare I say,
no,
it
really
doesn't take
can
you
just
very long.
almost run and do it right off the start. It does not require anything other than, I believe, an axe and a torch. I think I did it once without a torch even. It's pretty easy to get through that little area to the oak tree, and that's kind of where the story progresses to at this point. But you get in there, and without kind of explaining it, even though it's pretty short into the game, they present you with kind of a wall where they say, this is in early development. We are adding things to this game. This is kind of where we're at for the story, but check in as time goes on, and we'll see more in the form of updates. And I think that's really cool, because not only is there story updates coming for sure, but you get to some of the areas of the map, and it again hits you with a warning and says, this is like an unsure, unfinished zone. So, you know, progress at your own caution.
Yeah, man. So, you know, like I say with this, you kind of have to tread lightly, because it is very much in early access, but there is a lot to explore and kind of learn about the fundamentals in this game if you want to hop in. And another great thing too, just to kind of quickly touch up on, is that the crossplay is there. I've played with my buddy on his PC with no connection issues. So that's
a great
really
feature
great
going forward. I think that's going to be in a lot of different games, and I'm definitely all for that. I want all the interconnectivity, because this is a survival game, and it's way more fun playing with your friends.
Yeah, man. So what are you going to say? Are you going to recommend this one, or are you not going to recommend this one? I think we've kind of given it away with
yeah,
the
well,
discussion.
let's just say there is a few unfinished edges to this game. It is in early access. Some of the visuals aren't quite clean. You know, there is some kind of jitteriness with the bugs. Clipping is an issue. Construction you can build into the ant zones, you know, their path, and that kind of messes up what the ants are doing. There is issues, but overall I definitely have to recommend this game, because I think these issues are going to get ironed out, and when they do, this is going to be a really fun survival game with your friends.
Absolutely, man. I'm right there with you. I give this a high recommend, although it is kind of late in some of the story content. It is still very lighthearted and pretty funny, and a very promising game that will only get bigger and better with future updates.
I'm back again, and this week, it's something that I was not expecting. Here's Horizon Zero Dawn on PC. That's right, this is Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, and with it comes a lot of improvements that were not around in the first game. Now, this has a ultra widescreen support. It has something called dynamic foliage to increase the amount of, foliage on the screen if your system can handle it. And it also has the Frozen Wild expansion paired with it. I think there's a couple other tweaks here and there to the game, but I have to preface this by saying that I'm not super familiar with this game. Being an Xbox fan, and devoutly so, I kinda looked at Horizon Zero Dawn as Assassin's Creed Robot Future Past. Now, I'm not throwing any shade against Assassin's Creed, I actually really enjoy those games, but let me tell you, this one is a lot more cinematic than Assassin's Creed has ever been able to capture. Horizon Zero Dawn definitely hits you with that emotion out of the gate. I'm not sure what it is, but they pan around a lot of very big landscapes, they do a lot of interesting camera work, and they also have a very good transition at the end of the tutorial to get you into your adult form. It's all very, very deliberate and well done. The story is very heavy-handed. You are Aloy, and you are with this outcast of the Nora settlement. He kind of teaches you the ways to be, how to grow up in this hunter-gatherer lifestyle, and even though you're rejected from the clan, you do eventually face them in your coming-of-age trial. You can become a brave, earn your place back in the tribe, and thus your story begins. This one is a lot more cinematic, like I said, than Assassin's Creed has ever achieved. There's a way of emotion that's conveyed throughout the cutscenes in this game that is very hard to compare to another game.
I'm here, and wherever you go, I will follow.
But before I get too ahead of myself, let's talk about a little bit of the environments. There is a huge, vast difference between going through this kind of lonely winter wonderland and then contrasting that to Meridian, a bustling and hustling city full of people. And there's a lot of politics at play, a lot of side quests you find along the way that introduce you to these characters that become a lot more fleshed out as you play. A lot of these side quests actually have a lot more interest to me than the main quest, because they go about telling the story in a different way. You learn off of these characters, it's more of an organic interaction, and I find that some of my opinions of these characters actually changed as I go throughout their story. And interestingly enough, at the end of the story, usually, there is an element of choice. You can respond to these characters and their situations with disgust, with an aggressive tone, or you can have the intelligent answer that kind of plays the middle ground, or you can hit them with an emotional response. Each of these are different to the situation, but it really kind of gives you, some agency in this world that's big without you. Now, the world is big and storied, and there's a lot of interesting things that could lead you off of the path. And maybe that's the first issue I have, is that when you're exploring in this big wide open world, it's pretty easy to get kind of lost and to find yourself in front of a lot of enemies that may be higher level than you. They slap you back into reality, oftentimes one-shotting you, or just moving in a pattern that you've never seen before, so it's very hard to adapt. That brings me to the combat of this game. It's very light on the melee. Personally, that is. I'm sure there are ways to build your character or to kind of, emphasize the melee dodge combat, but your character carries up to 4 different projectile weapons. So that definitely, at least to me, made me slanted as a projectile using character. There's a lot of different environmental, or elemental I should say, abilities to bring to the field, where you're throwing fire or you're shooting ice around to freeze or damage the enemy robots in ways that will speed up their destruction. It's more of a strategic game that way, where you're using your ammunition instead of your face to deal with a lot of the enemy types, because you are pretty squishy in this game. Now, when it comes to the combat controls, I have to say that I really enjoy the flexibility with this. There is controller support. I could have committed heresy and used an Xbox controller on this Sony Interactive game, but I opted for the keyboard approach. I'm getting into PC gaming. I like to sharpen those PC skills, and at least this allows you to change the keyboard mapping however you see fit. I found their defaults to be kind of a little weird, but I was able to tailor different moves to my mouse buttons per se, and that gave me a lot of, again, agency over how I want to play. It changed my game type, and I was able to keep up with the difficulty of the enemies that way. Those snapshots feel really good out of the mouse, and the control scheme supports it with the dodge roll and the crouch. You're able to put those on the mouse buttons as well. But if you are facing difficulty with the combat, there is a progression system. I mentioned these bustling cities earlier. If you go to one of those, you're able to visit the merchants and acquire different weapon sets, higher level weapons, all the way from green, blue to purple, and the purples you are able to modify with these, tokens that you find on enemies in combat. There's kind of a random roll effect where you find the loot, and that loot could be an addition to fire damage that you do. You slap that on a weapon, now that weapon's way more effective as fire damage. This again gives you the ability to kind of spec your character, because the character specking is actually pretty light. Aside from the equipment, you're really only upgrading your satchels, your carrying capacity, and you're doing that with the hunting of wild animals. There is actually a few living creatures around the world, and you are a bow hunter by trade, so if you hunt these down, if you spend some time doing that, you will increase your carrying capacity. That way you're a little bit more effective in combat. But other than that, your character is growing through a level progression system, and I think that's supposed to terminate around level 30 for the main story, but with the Frozen Wilds, it goes to 40 plus, 45 potentially by the end of that scenario. So your character gets these skill points associated with each level that you are able to put into a skill tree, and that skill tree is mostly populated with abilities, not so much stats. So you're not really able to tweak your melee damage output. You are able to add more of a armor clearing ability to your weapon, so you can attack and knock armor off via the skill tree, but the skill tree is more populated with things that you can improve upon, such as like harvesting natural resources. Stealth mechanics get added with the use of this skill tree, and that's kind of the main way of growing your character from early game to end game. Speaking of endgame, the story feels to me like it wraps up pretty quickly. I have to say that it feels like there was a lot more put into the side stories, the side characters that you meet and interact with. as opposed to the mainline story. I find with the mainline kind of events, you're learning through the use of your scanner, you're picking up collectibles to tell the backstory. I enjoy those elements, but what I don't enjoy is the kind of cutscene, cinematic, heavy exposition, very dialogue heavy events towards the end of the game. They kind of fill you in on the events of the world, in my opinion, kind of rushed, as opposed to the way the side characters worked their story out. This was a little less organic, and I feel like they maybe just kind of slapped the end together, expecting you to kind of be a little bit bored of the storytelling arc by then. But that being said, if you do rush through this game, you are able to blast right through it, and you want to do another playthrough, they do have New Game Plus that adds a lot of replayability to this game. Good on them for adding New Game Plus. I'm always a fan of seeing that, especially in an exploration game where you're either one of two players. You either grab everything you can, you move like a honeybee through the map and you complete the whole thing in one shot, or you blast through the story mode, maybe you didn't get everything you wanted to, so you're able to jump back in and play all over again with more difficulty, all the equipment that you ended with, and all the skill points that you ended with. That's always a positive here. This is a little bit of my take on Horizon Zero Dawn, repacked on the PC for me, specifically as an outsider, to jump into finally for the first time. I have to say that this game pretty much blew me away in every category, and as such, I have to give this one a 9 out of 10. I wish somebody told me about this game earlier. Horizon Zero Dawn is an awesome cinematic and emotional experience from start to finish. A great start to a brand new series.
Alright, so I'm back with your mobile mention, and I'm talking about an oldie and a goldie, well, particularly for me, but this is called Cloud Raiders. Now, most of you are probably not familiar with this game, but are familiar with this style of game, and that's like Clash of Clans. Now, you get to build up your base, and it's in this 10-tier system, and believe me, it's a very big grind if you crunch it out and actually wanna max out everything. I'm still not there, and I'm years into playing this. But that all being said, it is a lot of fun. You can host up and group up with your buddies, and in particularly, if you're interested in doing that, hit us up on insidethegame.ca and actually join our Cloud Raiders group. I've been playing it for a long time. I'll give you lots of troops and tips on how to play this game. But again, moving forward, this is a lot of fun. They give you quite a bit of options in what you can do and how you play. Of course, there's your standard PvP where you're playing against other players and getting the most loot, and that's probably the best way to grind your way to leveling up your base. But they also give you lots of PvE events. There's a whole fleshed out campaign, as well as PvE events that cycle in and out all the time, such as Treasure Island, or where this menacing creature lands on your island and basically gives you free loot every 5 battles, and it's really easy to do. So anyways, that all to say, this game is highly worth checking out, and if you do, make sure you join our Cloud Raiders group and hit us up on Twitter or on our website at insidethegame.ca.
Corey, we're gonna hear that sweet sound in Neversong.
His name was Pete. His world was grey. Until he found a friend one day.
Corey, you and I checked out a pretty cool game called Neversong. This is created by Thomas Brush. Thomas has actually got a YouTube channel where he's designed the entire game on there for you. It allows you to kind of watch the progression of the game, which had me then from there, I'm like, I gotta play the game now, right? So I was hooked watching him develop the game over the over the past year when I've been following him. And to get into the game, it's about Pete. And Pete's journey of kind of getting stuck into this coma, waking up to find out all the adults are missing, and his girlfriend as well.
We honestly didn't think you'd make it out of your coma, bro. It's been a while since you were awake. Well, I'm glad you're back. Too bad about Ren, though. I mean, apparently she was, like, kidnapped right in front of your face, bro.
Corey, what'd you think of Neversong when you jumped into this one?
Well, I think the thing that, like you, what drew me in was the graphics, the art style of this game. Like, it's simple but beautiful. Like the way you move around this environment, it's this kind of Metroid-esque, you know, the way the side-scrolling way you move around. But the way it's just done, it looks so good. It looks like a storybook, honestly, the way you're playing through it. And the story is the biggest part in this game. The idea is to get invested in these characters because there is kind of this ominous, deep backstory about, you know, what exactly is going on, what's happening, and you're kind of discovering this as you go, trying to find your girlfriend Ren. You're talking to your friends that you know, now that you're out of your coma, they're letting you know certain things that have gone on, and so you know, there's a lot of confusion, but the game is definitely very dark because even on startup of the game, it really focuses on mental health, and it's not something we've touched on this in video games in the past, but not, you know, too deep. I mean, there's a couple games that have kind of scratched the surface with it, and this is definitely another one of those games where it lets you know, you're not alone, right? They want people to know that if you're jumping into this game, maybe you're trying to connect into it a certain way. It gets super deep, like a lot more deep than I thought I would just jumping into this. And this is a fairly cheap game. I think it's a $15-$20 game. So I mean, there's a lot more into this than just this kind of quick playthrough. And I think the idea here is to not just blast through these levels. The idea is to talk to everybody, kind of learn what's going on, get invested in that story, and that's really what's going to carry you through here, I think, more than just the action in the game.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Corey. The art style behind this is so clean looking. It was really cool to watch and experience as I was playing. And then the other thing, not only does the game and the gameplay and the story draw you in, but to help solidify all that is the audio that goes with it. Dude, I actually sat there and just kind of listened to the music for a little bit. It was so cool and soothing, and it's just, man, it fit the game so well. It was so well produced. I absolutely loved the music in the game. It was actually probably one of the standouts for me within the game itself.
God. So, can I help you? Considering you're the reason everyone's parents have been missing all summer, I'd keep questions like that on the down low. I mean, you fainted in terror as Ren was kidnapped, so the grown-ups went to Black Fork Asylum to try and find her. They haven't been back since. It's all right, buddy. Just be careful asking stupid questions. I, for one, am about to head out to look for my dad because of you. After I finish counting, of course.
And then you get into the voice acting as well. I thought that was spot on. The kids sound like the kids, you know, it's really cool and they're really cheeky. And some of these other ones are a bit of a jerk reaction, and I could have just popped that kid. You'll get there if you play it. You'll understand what I'm talking about.
It means they did a good job at it then.
Pete, you're final. I was about to adventure out to the Spiderian sewer to look for the grown-ups. I'll admit, my tummy is filled with little butterflies. Anyways, I think a grown-up might be down there. Golly, you don't want to know what I think, Mike. If you must know, it is my belief that your girlfriend is likely. Oh, my heart skips a beat just thinking her epilepsy hasn't been great lately, Pete. Without her medication, I'm not sure how long she'll last.
And then the beginning too is so creepy. I was like, man, what is going on here? And I got this limbo-esque kind of feeling playing the game, right? So I'm like, dude, this is super cool. And it's cheap. for a purchase, which is awesome because it gets a lot of people in at a good price. And I think there's a lot of content here for people to fall in love with. And I think the overall Pete character is charming. You're able to kind of customize him, like mine's got a headband on. It's kind of cool. There's a lot more into this game than I thought there was going to be, and it had me hooked relatively early. And that's the biggest thing when you're playing a new game, is that if you don't get hooked, you don't stick around. And I was around, man. This game is cool.
Yeah, you know what? I completely agree with you. This is definitely not my go-to style of game. I've played some of these in the past,
Sure.
and I tend to complain about pacing. I like games that are a little more fast-paced. I'll give this game a little bit of credit, though, because it does throw you into the action pretty quickly. You get a weapon that you can use to defeat some enemies early on in the game. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm getting a little bit of action along with a really good story. And for you, the standout was also voiceovers for me, because I'm hearing the characters talk, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I don't have to read the text, which is a bonus. But at the same time, if the voice acting's done well, it really makes you feel like you're watching, an episode of a TV show or something. Right? And this is reading out this, this whole game reads out like a storybook, and it's not a super long game. I think playtime's 4 or 5 hours, but again, you have to tell this story from beginning to end. Someone doesn't want, a 25-hour story. They want a nice, fast story that they can play through, but also be fully immersed in. And for the price, I don't think you can beat what they're doing here in Neversong. I had a good time, and I don't particularly like these games. It really drew me in. Like you said, within the first 10-15 minutes, I was kind of hooked. I was like, all right, what's going on here? This is creepy and fun enough that I kind of want to dig into this a little bit more. And I was truly surprised by that.
Awesome. Corey, we're here for a great time and a short time. Sometimes it just works out. What do you score in Neversong?
You know what? Jumping into this, again, the art style hooked me right away, and then we get into the audio, like you said earlier, and that hooked me. And these aren't the games that tend to hook me, but you know what? I'm there with an 8.
You know what, man? I couldn't agree more. The art style, the audio, the music, everything here was so intriguing to kind of keep me going. It had me invested right from the get-go. I loved the game. I'm there with an 8 as well.
Nice. Neversong's great visuals and audio and voiceovers are definitely going to be what draws you in here, but the story and the characters are really going to be the reason you stick with this one.
Hey, Puke Face! Get over here and help me! Isn't it obvious, Puke? I have hypoinflammatory disorder. I inflate randomly.
All right, Drew, this week we're grabbing the clubs because we're headed to Golftopia. Drew, this week we got to check out a pretty cool game, Golftopia. It's a golf course simulator / tycoon style game. What did you think jumping into this one?
Well, this is in early access. I think that's something we need to mention off the hop because it kind of feels like it is in early access. There was bits that I started to enjoy, and then some of it I just didn't overall, man, I just didn't get connected enough to get drawn into the game and want to stick around. I played a lot of simulating games before, city builders kind of ask, and this one is kind of, it falls into that genre, but it's a little bit different as well. Golf, building your own golf course in this neon over-the-top setting, because honestly, you can put out rings that, gives your golfers objectives to shoot through these rings, and the rings are on fire, and I just kind of wanted, for me, I guess I was looking for something a little bit more grounded in reality of building my own and managing my own golf course. It also does give you the ability to play out the course, which I thought was pretty cool, but it's kind of really set over the top in this neon feeling. I was able to design multiple holes, and even that was a bit tricky. I wanted to be able to put my pins down, and then you set your tee hole, and everything's you're ready to go. But when I wanted to go over top of water, it kind of made me go around the water, and it's all about making your golfers happy. And they say don't do anything too difficult, because it's all about making your golfers happy. And I'm like, man, but yet, the golf course needs to be challenging, and it needs to look cool. And I think it can look cool in certain aspects of it, but at the same time, it just wasn't enough that I was looking for. I think the overall concept of the game is cool, Corey, but for me, I just couldn't get hooked into this one. I had a hard time, but I did put down multiple holes. I had a green, a putting green going in a driving range, and I thought it had some really neat aspects to it. But it felt a little bit more arcadey. How'd you feel about this one?
Well, you know what? I think arcadey is a good word to kind of describe this game, because it is a very cartoony art style, and I think it fits the game well. Like you said, it's kind of this, over-the-top, neon, futuresque kind of style that, that we put down. Like, it's still in a wooded golf course area like you would, normally see a golf course. There's lots of different things we can put down. Like you said, there's rings of fire. There's, like, pinball bumpers you can put down. And you don't have to put any of this stuff down if you want. You could literally make a golf course with just regular holes using natural terrain if you really wanted to. But the idea behind this game is to kind of, really give your golfers that over-the-top fun experience, because the idea is you want them to become members when they go to leave after playing through your golf course. There's different membership tiers that they can have, bronze, silver, gold. And so you want those gold memberships because those golfers are going to earn you more money per hole. And the whole idea is to basically keep making money and keep expanding, buying property, and kind of moving out. But the problem is, at the beginning of the game, they start off with a pretty light tutorial, I'll say. They kind of give you the basic ideas, like, here's your clubhouse, this is the most important building, everything, rotates around this thing. You have to have it here, placement of it's really, it means it's really important, but at the same time, they don't necessarily tell you where the best place to put it is. So honestly, I just kind of plopped my clubhouse down in the corner of my square plot of land, and I was like, I'll build the course out from here and go from there, because I didn't have money to buy other plots of land, which you can do. It's a grid-based map that we're on. But they give you a big enough area that I was able to make a 9-hole golf course, starting right through. But there's a lot of kind of questions as you go through. Like you said, it's the idea of trying to make the course challenging, but you don't want to make it too difficult, because all the golfers give you feedback on, parts of the course they're having a tough time with. Some golfers are better than others. So, some people might find that bunker challenging, but some golfers can hit right over it. So there's lots of things to consider. And let me tell you, the golfers complain about everything. So you're always busy doing something in this game. And I did enjoy that, because I don't know about you, but the variety of items you can put down on the map, and just all the ways you can kind of expand your golf course. Like, I had these Jetson tubes that, like, people can get sucked up in, and it, like, launches them all around the course, and I get to put the tubes down in the stops where, wherever I want, so people don't have to walk, because people were complaining about getting tired after, like, 6 holes. They couldn't even finish the 9-hole course. So, I mean, there's lots of stuff to consider here, and like I said, I don't play these games like you do, in the sense that I haven't played as many, in the recent past here, but I did enjoy this one maybe just a little bit more than you did.
No, absolutely. I think one of the features I would like to see implemented is, so you have to add lights, because your golf course runs 24 hours a day, and when it goes to nighttime, the golfers out on the course, their golf balls will actually glow. So you're out there, you have to place lights, but every time you place a light, you then have to go back into the menu, select the light again to put down another one. I just want to be able to tap it. If I have that item selected, I want to be able to just tap a light, go over, tap a light. And then it was the same thing when I set up for the golf green. I had to put a pinhole down, right? You had to put your flag in, set it up, but every time you had to put your flag in, you then had to go back in the menu and then go out, and it was just like, man, a little quality of life issue right there would have been a nice feature. I think what the coolest things, though, honestly, Corey, was designing the golf course itself, laying down the fairway, putting in your green, and then expanding your green, and then putting down, the sand if you wanted to put a sand trap in. I thought that was really smooth, really intuitive, and just super simple to lay that out, and it only took you like a matter of seconds, and then you already had a hole. I thought, that was really cool, but like I said, it just didn't really hook me in, man.
All right, Drew, we spent our time shanking golf balls on the course, making new holes. If you have to, give this one a recommend or not recommend, what are you going to give Golftopia?
Overall, Corey, I think it's got a good foundation, but it wasn't the hole-in-one I was looking for. I was kind of more stuck in the sand traps. It wasn't the long, straight drive I was aiming for. I think that's all I got. So honestly, I am not going to recommend it right now. It just didn't hook me in. It wasn't what I was looking for, and it's just, I didn't feel it, man.
Well, you know what? I can't totally disagree with you there, but you know what? I think I am going to land on the opposite side of the fence here because I did enjoy my time in Golftopia. Again, there's definitely some quality of life issues where, you know, if they could smooth some of that stuff out, I mean, I think it would make a huge change for something, you know, that's really just a small change in the game. So I stuck with it. I enjoyed it maybe a little bit more than you, so I'm actually going to give this one a recommend.
Nice.
Golftopia is a fresh take on a tycoon-style game. There's lots of fun, interesting building options, but with this early access, there's definitely some user interface wrinkles that could definitely be smoothed out because sometimes they could be frustrating.
So the Rainbow Six Siege Pro League North American qualifiers have finally come and gone, and Canada, well, we did pretty well, all things considered. Canada Division, we are completely new to this level of play, you know, playing against these teams like Dark Zero Esports, TSM, Tempo Storm, all very good teams with lots of players that have years of experience. So Mirage being so new to this level of play, I'm quite impressed that they put up as good of a fight as they did against Dark Zero Esports. Now, ultimately this had to be won and decided in one game. And unfortunately Mirage, they couldn't quite pull through. Dark Zero Esports, they won 2 maps in a row against them, thus putting Dark Zero Esports in the winners bracket and Mirage Esports in the losers bracket. Now, Mirage Esports, they did actually get to play another 2 set of games. Firstly, they played against Tempo Storm and they actually won, giving them a chance to kind of earn some more money and higher bragging rights. And almost rightfully so. They played Sonics and they lost in a 3-map outcome. But Mirage, they did take one of those on Oregon and it was very impressive. So I'm excited to see how the rest of the North American qualifiers play out, and really excited to see how Stage 2 takes place later on this year, where we can actually see more of the Canadian division kind of develop and evolve into what we truly are, a strong Northern spirit. So enjoy these replays, and I'll catch you next time on the highlights for the Canadian division.
Well, this week, the guys and I are going rogue in this Let's Play. Check it out.
It's a good one.
I kind of like all my fingers. I'm just saying. Prefer to have them all intact.
But if you had to lose one, which one?
Pinky.
Pinky, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get your guns out. Let's go.
You think?
Pinky all the
I
way.
would say
You don't think one of your
That'll do
middle,
nicely.
like 3?
No, Yeah,
not
but-
your index. Not your
Nope.
index. Or your middle, I don't think.
Nope.
Maybe your
Actually,
ring. I don't know.
yeah, I knew a girl who lost her ring finger, but it was
Strikeout.
sorry, I think it was on
Eliminate
this
all
hand.
enemies.
And
What
but
about
it
your
was, she
thumb?
lost a knuckle. She lost a knuckle too, so they moved it. They just closed it, so it's just a 3-fingered hand.
Hey Scott, if you lost your thumb, you could use your big toe as a transplant.
Yeah, it's got like one big.
He's on fire tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no, I wasn't. I didn't realize I was still in the menu. I thought I was just in the menu. Okay, I'm in the game now.
Oh no, I didn't reload. Oh my goodness. Burn. Thank God I had that going on. Ooh.
Yeah, I finished the kill.
I'm down.
Oh no.
You started a fight you can't win.
Roll over.
That guy's gonna burn now too.
Lethal out.
30 seconds left. Hang in there.
Move on.
Robot away.
This is what I do.
Nice.
Right there. Got, yeah.
Oh.
Right there, bud. Yeah.
Alright,
Oh.
yeah.
Objective acquired.
Nice.
Defend it.
There we go.
Enemies have been wiped out. First
it.
round on me.
Alright, we got 2 more rounds. We can do this.
Yeah, there we go.
That'll do nicely.
This is great.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this.
Alright, what do I need here? What do I need? Oh, there's this guy coming in for the revive.
Enemies
C9.
have 5 lives left. Keep up the
Oh
pressure.
man, gas.
Gas
I'm
them.
getting gassed. I'm getting gassed. That was you?
Sorry, yeah.
It's all good.
You.
Lethal out.
It wasn't for you. Somebody else again.
Whoa, another guy right there.
Utility
Man,
out.
that barbed wire. Slow me down. Slow me down.
Robot.
This is what I do.
Oh,
No
dude. Come on, come on,
way.
come on.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes. Woo.
See, that's why you don't try and finish the kill. See, she walked right into my gun. I was like, yeah, come on over. Oh, my mine went off behind us.
Enemies are running low on reinforcements. Crush them.
Oh, he tried to self-revive.
Enemies are out of reinforcements.
Nice.
Man, I'm on fire for nothing.
Yeah, so
I'm on fire.
we've lost 2 lives.
45 seconds left. Keep it up.
This is how it's done.
There we go.
Got him.
45 seconds left. Keep it up.
Guys. Yeah, he's over here too. Oh no, I'm gonna lose this.
Oh no.
Oh, come on, he's 1 hit. He's 1
have
hit.
control
We got
of
him.
the
Yeah.
objective.
Yeah,
Defend it.
got him.
There we
Nice.
go.
Enemies have been wiped out. First round on me.
I thought this job would be harder.
Well, that'll wrap up this week's episode. Thanks so much for sticking around and watching. Scott finally got to play Horizon Zero Dawn, and he liked it. I don't blame him. Now, don't forget, you can end off our show by going to insidethegame.ca and submitting your clip, just like Salu John D did. And here's some Rainbow Six action. Man, get out of his door. Until next week, we'll see you inside the game.
New feed active.